As I innocently strolled through the peaceful park with my newborn baby, little did I know that a stranger named Karen would soon disrupt our tranquility, claiming an unwarranted entitlement to hold my child. It all started when Karen claims she's entitled to hold my baby, but I don't even know her. Here's how it all went down. It was a Sunday afternoon when I decided to take my newborn baby for a stroll in the peaceful park near my house. The sun cast a warm glow, creating a serene atmosphere that matched my desire for a relaxing outing. Nestled in the stroller, my baby peacefully dozed, oblivious to the impending intrusion into our tranquil day. As I navigated the winding paths, reveling in the simplicity of the moment, a figure emerged in the distance. Karen, a woman with an air of entitlement that seemed to precede her, marched towards us. Her eyes locked onto the stroller, and an enthusiastic grin spread across her face, as if she had found her long-lost treasure. "Oh, what an adorable baby you have there!" Karen exclaimed, her voice echoing louder than the distant chirping of birds, immediately drawing the attention of nearby picnickers. Being a first-time mom, I smiled politely and thanked her, genuinely appreciating compliments about my little one. Little did I know that Karen's interest was about to turn our peaceful afternoon into a scene straight out of a sitcom. "Can I hold your baby?" Karen asked, extending her arms as if it was her inherent right to cradle my child. A subtle discomfort crept over me as I took a step back, instinctively shielding my baby. Sorry, but I don't think that's a good idea. I don't even know you," I replied cautiously, trying to maintain a friendly tone. Karen's demeanor, initially cordial, shifted abruptly from friendly to pushy. "Oh, come on, I'm great with babies. I practically raised my neighbor's kid. You can trust me." I hesitated, torn between not wanting to offend her and safeguarding my child. "I appreciate your offer, but I'm not comfortable letting strangers hold my baby. It's nothing personal." Karen's annoyance became palpable, her entitlement taking center stage. "Well, I thought people in this neighborhood were friendlier. It's just a baby. What harm could I possibly do?" As Karen continued to press the issue, her voice escalating, the rising action of this unexpected encounter unfolded. Passers-by began to take notice, their curious glances turning into a small audience that encircled us like unwitting spectators of a bizarre performance. "I really don't want to argue about this. It's my baby, and I have the right to decide who holds him," I stated firmly, hoping to put an end to the escalating tension. But Karen, fueled by her unwavering conviction, refused to back down. "I can't believe this. You're being so unreasonable. What kind of mother are you?" Karen's entitlement clashed with my protective instincts, creating a tense standoff in the middle of the park. The audience grew, some murmuring disapprovingly while others exchanged puzzled glances. Frustrated and feeling cornered, I decided to retreat, pushing the stroller away from the escalating drama. "Look, I'm just trying to enjoy a peaceful day with my baby. I don't need this drama. Let's just go." As I tried to escape the awkward situation, Karen, refusing to let go of her self-righteous stance, shouted after me, "You're making a big mistake. I would have been the best auntie your baby could have." The falling action unfolded as I distanced myself from Karen, the crowd dispersing, leaving behind a lingering tension. The encounter had left me shaken, questioning the audacity of some people. As I continued my stroll, I couldn't shake off the bizarre encounter with Karen. It served as a stark reminder of the challenges of navigating the unpredictable terrain of parenthood, where unexpected characters like Karen could disrupt the peaceful moments meant to be cherished. Little did I know that this encounter with Karen was just the beginning of a series of bizarre incidents that would make me question the sanity of the world around me. The unsettling feeling lingered, provoking a sense of repulsion at the audacity of some individuals and their entitled behaviors, making me wonder what other surprises parenthood had in store. My attempt to distance myself from Karen and salvage the remnants of a peaceful afternoon proved futile. The echoes of her frustrated protests lingered in the air, casting a shadow over what should have been a joyful day with my baby. As I continued my stroll, the unsettling encounter played on a loop in my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling of disbelief that someone could be so insistent on holding a stranger's child. The serenity of the park was shattered, replaced by a gnawing sense of unease. I decided to take refuge on a bench near a serene pond, hoping the calm water and gentle breeze would help me shake off the lingering tension. Little did I know that my attempts at solace were about to be thwarted once again by none other than Karen. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted Karen marching towards me with a determination that rivaled a general leading her troops into battle. I braced myself for another round of confrontation, hoping against hope that she had reconsidered her position. "Look, I just want to enjoy some quiet time with my baby," I asserted, my tone a mix of weariness and frustration as Karen closed in. Ignoring my plea, Karen plopped herself down on the bench beside me, as if we were old friends sharing a casual chat. "You know, you really should let people enjoy the joy of holding your baby. It's a community after all." I shot her a perplexed look, struggling to comprehend the audacity of her statement. "A community doesn't mean I have to let strangers hold my baby. It's basic common sense, Karen scoffed, her annoyance unabated. You're just being paranoid. I'm great with babies, really. It's not like I'm a criminal. The rising action of our second encounter intensified, as I found myself once again navigating the delicate balance between asserting my boundaries and avoiding a full-blown public confrontation. The nearby ducks, seemingly oblivious to the human drama unfolding, continued their serene glide across the pond. I'm not paranoid. I'm a mother trying to protect her child. Please just leave us alone, I implored, my patience waning. But Karen was not one to take a hint. You're overreacting. What harm could I possibly do? I just want to hold the baby for a moment. As her words hung in the air, the climax of our encounter loomed. The surrounding parkgoers, having witnessed the initial spectacle, cast furtive glances our way, curious to see how this peculiar drama would unfold. In an attempt to defuse the situation, I stood up, guiding the stroller away from Karen. I'm sorry, but I need to go. I don't want any more drama. Karen, undeterred, followed me like a shadow. You're making a big mistake. I could have been the best auntie your baby ever had. The falling action played out as I quickened my pace, hoping to leave Karen and her absurd claims behind. The crowd, once again, dispersed, leaving us in a bizarre bubble of tension. As I reached the park's exit, I couldn't shake off the unsettling feeling that Karen might reappear at any moment. The unexpected saga of a seemingly harmless day had left me questioning the boundaries of social interaction and the audacity of some individuals. Reflecting on the encounter with Karen, I couldn't help but feel a lingering repulsion at the entitlement that had tainted what should have been a simple outing. Parenthood, it seemed, was not just about sleepless nights and diaper changes. It was also a journey filled with unexpected characters and challenging encounters, leaving me to wonder what other peculiarities awaited on this unpredictable path. And so, as I walked away from the park, my baby in tow, I couldn't shake the unsettling thought that the world, much like Karen, held surprises that provoked a sense of repulsion, challenging the very essence of what it meant to navigate the unpredictable terrain of parenthood. This Karen encounter had me on the edge of my seat. Who knew taking a stroll in the park could turn into a sitcom-worthy scene? As a new parent myself, I totally get the instinct to protect your little one. It's amazing how some people can be so entitled. Thanks for sharing your story. It's a reminder that parenthood is full of unexpected adventures. As the Thanksgiving turkey disappeared before our eyes, suspicions grew and tensions escalated. Little did we know that this petty theft would be just the beginning of a series of events that would shatter our family's peace and test our bonds. From stolen turkeys to bomb threats, here's how it all went down. I'm feeling confused and frustrated, and I need to vent. We hosted Thanksgiving this year. My husband and I, our 2 kids, my husband's siblings and nieces and nephews, and most importantly, my husband's gravely ill mother. We're all aware that this Thanksgiving and Christmas will likely be our last holidays together. It has been an emotional and exhausting time, but we really wanted to create a memorable day that everyone would enjoy. Our daughter Mary is visiting from college, and just one day before she flew in, she informed us that her boyfriend Chris is actually flying to our city to visit friends over the break. Mary asked if he could come over for Thanksgiving. We have never met Chris before, but to be honest, we're not very fond of him. Ever since Mary started dating him, we have noticed some worrying changes in her behavior. Our son, who is just a couple of years older, confided in us that Mary has been getting into the party scene largely because of Chris. We have tried gently expressing our concerns to Mary, but she shuts us down and has started to distance herself from us. Because we didn't want to alienate her, we agreed that Chris could visit, but they would need to stay in separate rooms. Mary assured us that it wouldn't be a problem, because he had booked a hotel room, and she would be staying there with him for the whole weekend. Fast forward to Thanksgiving, and Mary and Chris arrive. Unfortunately, Chris doesn't make the best impression. He makes a couple of rude and snide remarks throughout the visit, and he drinks excessively, which is not appropriate for the occasion. My family was in a very heartfelt and emotional mood, and his dismissive and flippant behavior cast a shadow over everything. At one point, everyone started sharing stories about their favorite holidays at my mother-in-law's house when she would go all out for family parties. My husband and I took a break from working in the kitchen to join the conversation. When we returned to the kitchen after about half an hour, I went to check on the turkey in the oven, only to find it gone, completely missing. I asked my husband if he had done something with the turkey, and he was just as confused as I was. We searched all over the kitchen and the house, but couldn't find it. We went out to the living room and asked everyone if they knew what happened to the turkey, but no one had any idea what we were talking about. It was then that I realized Chris was nowhere to be found. I pulled Mary aside and asked where he was, not wanting to jump to conclusions or make accusations. She informed me that he had left to meet up with friends. I asked her to text him and ask if he knew anything about the missing turkey, but Mary just rolled her eyes. At this point, it's starting to dawn on me that Chris probably stole the turkey and left through the back door while we were sharing stories with my mother-in-law. However, I'm still so confused as to why anyone would do something like that. I can't bring myself to actually voice the accusation out loud. We found ourselves in a terrible situation where everything else was ready, but we had no turkey. We had to break the news to the family, and everyone became confused and sad. Mary mentioned that she had to leave for an event with Chris, which deeply disappointed me. I expressed my feelings to her, and she simply said she would see us again later in the weekend. My in-laws went out searching for restaurants and grocery stores, and managed to gather enough food to have a meal much later than expected. However, it felt like the entire day was ruined. There were whispers about Chris leaving around the same time the turkey disappeared, but no one wanted to openly accuse him because it's a serious allegation, and there's no actual proof. I'm confused about why anyone would do such a thing, and I feel heartbroken for my mother-in-law who didn't deserve this at all. She even became emotional at one point but managed to compose herself. I'm also becoming increasingly angry with my daughter, but I feel like I can't say anything because it might push her away even more. I was talking with my son today, and he told me that last night Chris started taunting him over text about the missing turkey. So that settles it. Chris stole the turkey basically as a big jerk to all of us. My son didn't say anything at the time because he didn't want to make people more upset than they already were. One of my husband's siblings is very mad at us for how things turned out and how my mother-in-law was disrespected. The sibling is not talking with us right now. I've tried calling and texting Mary, but she is so far ignoring me. That's all I have to say about this. Last year, I hoped to talk with Mary in person about what Chris did, but she blew me off and didn't visit home for the rest of Thanksgiving weekend. We spoke briefly on the phone a few days later, but she denied that Chris stole our turkey, even though Chris taunted my son about it, basically admitting what he did. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law passed away about 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. The ripple effects were profound. Our family expected her to live through Christmas, so it was very difficult to lose what we thought would be her last holiday. And it was even more bitter that the Thanksgiving that was her actual last holiday was ruined by Chris and his incomprehensible theft. From there, it got even worse. Mary flew in for my mother-in-law's funeral and mentioned that Chris might travel with her to see a concert in our city. We made it clear that he was not welcome in our home or at the funeral. He ultimately stayed at their college. But on the day of the visitation, a bomb threat was made against the funeral home, and we all had to evacuate while the police conducted a search. The police were never able to prove it, but I strongly suspect Chris made the threat. My mother-in-law's visitation was cut significantly short, and she was denied a dignified end. Some people who wanted to pay their respects ultimately could not because of the evacuation and inspection. One of my husband's siblings has gone no contact with us because they blame my husband and me for ruining the end of my mother-in-law's life by inviting Chris to Thanksgiving last year. Mary refused to take any responsibility for how her relationship with Chris has damaged our family. We, my husband and I and Mary, have mutually decided to go no contact. My son has minimal contact with Mary and follows her on social media. Apparently, Mary and Chris are still together. I'm sorry I have such a sad update, but my family and I are very grateful for all the support we received last year. It is crucial to openly express concerns and address issues, even if it might be uncomfortable or risk creating tension. By having honest conversations, misunderstandings and conflicts can be resolved early on, preventing further damage to relationships. As I wrestled with my conflicting emotions, torn between the advice of my mother and the dismissive stance of my sister, I found myself questioning the nature of my husband's relationship with a young woman who had recently entered our lives. Little did I know that a seemingly innocent act of kindness would unravel a series of unsettling events that would push the boundaries of trust and threaten the foundation of our marriage. Here's how it all went down. I'm asking here because my mother says I'm justified in feeling uncomfortable with this, and my younger sister says I'm not. For background information, I'm 35, female. My husband is 38, male. We've been married for 11 years. We have 2 sons. There's a young woman, 25, female, who rents an apartment down the street from our house. She and my husband knew each other from years ago because she used to be friends with my brother-in-law, who now lives in another state. He lost contact with almost everyone from his past, including his family for a while, but he's starting to turn his life around now. So my husband kind of knew her when they were younger, but they didn't stay in contact or have any relationship with each other until last summer when she moved into her current apartment. She's a nice girl. Sometimes she helps out watching our boys when something comes up. We always invite her over when we have parties or barbecues. She gets along well with everyone. The first thing that happened that bothered me, that could just be me overreacting, was one night she had come over to watch our sons when our normal babysitter pulled out last minute. She always refuses payment, so we bought her takeout from a local restaurant with the rest of us, and she ate over. She had been swimming with the boys in our pool. and at one point said something about being cold. I was going to tell her I would run upstairs and grab her one of my sweaters when my husband took off the hoodie he was wearing and gave it to her. It just made me feel uncomfortable for some reason, but again, I don't know if I'm overreacting or not. I talked to my husband and told him how it made me feel, and told him next time in a situation like that, it was so much easier to go and get one of my sweaters. He did apologize, but it doesn't help that after he gave it to her, she kept it for a few days. When she brought it back, it smelled overwhelmingly like her. I asked him if he wanted me to wash it, and he said no. As far as I know, it still hasn't been washed. Last night, she came over for a graduation party for one of our sons, elementary school graduation. She got a phone call in the middle of it and left for about an hour. My husband went over to check on her, and she came back but seemed really upset and said something was going on with her mom's health. I didn't get much more info than that because I was hosting the party. Later on, almost everyone had left, and I was putting the boys to bed. The two of them were talking by the fire pit on this swing we have. She still seemed really upset, and he had his arm around her shoulders and was clearly trying to cheer her up. None of that bothered me. What bothers me is that when I came back outside, they were both asleep on the swing with her head on him. I woke them up and they both seemed genuinely surprised, and she got up, but they didn't seem as though they got caught or anything. I talked to my husband again about how it bothered me, and he apologized but said that he was just trying to make her feel better. He mentioned that their relationship is completely platonic, so I shouldn't be uncomfortable. He asked if I would be upset if she was a cousin, but I explained that she's not a relative. He said he understood, but I'm not sure if he truly does or if he just wanted to end the conversation peacefully. My mother agreed that she would be upset in this situation, but my sister thinks I'm overreacting. However, my sister isn't married, so I'm seeking other perspectives. Last night, she came over for a graduation party for one of our sons. She received a phone call in the middle of the party and left for about an hour. My husband went to check on her, and she returned looking upset, mentioning that something was going on with her mom's health. I didn't get many details as I was busy hosting the party. I sat down and had another conversation with him, clarifying that I wasn't accusing him of anything. I explained how everything had made me feel. He genuinely seemed sorry that I felt that way and expressed gratitude for my openness in discussing it. However, he admitted that he didn't fully understand my perspective. He questioned why I was upset about these things if I trusted him and our relationship was secure. I tried to illustrate my point by asking how he would feel if the roles were reversed, and I was getting close to a male friend in a similar way. He responded that if he knew the feelings were purely platonic, he would be fine with it. Nonetheless, he acknowledged and respected my feelings, promising to be more conscious around her. He believed it wouldn't be fair to cut her off or stop including her in our activities, and I agreed with that decision. I appreciate that he respected my boundaries and listened to me. However, I do wish he had better understood my perspective. Regardless, I'm grateful for the advice to talk to him again. I'm glad I was able to clearly communicate how everything made me feel, and I'm relieved that he now knows. I wrote the above update and was going to post it, but then we had a fight that I think is worth discussing here. There were many people talking about the hoodie, so I went to get it and washed it. While I was folding the laundry, my husband came in and saw that I had washed it. He seemed a little annoyed. He sighed, rolled his eyes, and shook his head. I didn't say anything at the time. Later, as he was putting everything away in his closet, he held up the hoodie and said, "I told you that you didn't have to wash it. If you're so sure I'm going to cheat on you, why does it matter what my hoodie smells like?" He then threw it on the floor of his closet instead of hanging it up with the rest of his clothes. I told him that I didn't think he was going to cheat on me, but I didn't like his clothing smelling strongly of another woman. He said it didn't smell strongly of her. It just smelled like her fabric softener because she had already washed it. He accused me of harping on this and behaving ridiculously. I explained that all I had done was wash a hoodie, which is the same thing I would have done if one of our kids' clothes came back from a friend's house. Today, after he got dressed, I noticed that the hoodie wasn't on the floor anymore, but it wasn't with his other sweatshirts either. I asked him where it was, and he didn't answer. Instead, he muttered to himself, "You've got to be kidding me. Here we go again." I assured him that I wasn't trying to start anything, and that if the hoodie needed to be cleaned again or ironed, I would take care of it. He turned around, told me to let go of the freaking hoodie. I'm not talking about it again. I was completely shocked because he had never spoken to me like that before, especially not in front of our kids. He didn't even apologize. He just left for work and slammed the door. I really didn't mean to make such a big deal about the hoodie. I feel like he's the one making a big deal about me washing it, right? The lesson here is that it's important to communicate openly and respectfully with your partner when something is bothering you. By sharing your thoughts and emotions, you give your partner the opportunity to understand your perspective and work together to find a solution that respects both parties' boundaries and feelings. I never imagined that my past would come back to haunt me, but now I find myself facing the consequences of my cruel actions. As I prepared to welcome the new employees, little did I know that one of them would be the person I had abused and bullied in high school. The weight of guilt and the chance for redemption hung heavily in the air. Here's how it all went down. I used to be a complete jerk during high school. There's no denying that. I'm very ashamed of the kind of person that I was. It was partly because my parents spoiled me too much with my good looks, which I had out of pure luck and chance, and myself too. I was extremely arrogant and selfish. There was this boy in high school, kind of a loner, always busy studying and doing projects, no friends, getting bullied quite often. He was very intelligent, always the best when it came to grades. I wasn't friends with him. I was one of the cool girls, and I only hung out with other cool girls and boys. I was usually the center of attention. There's always a group of mean girls in schools. I was their leader. I wasn't doing well with my grades, mostly because I wasn't spending time studying, and was obsessed with other things. I had the selfish idea of using this boy. So I befriended him and let him close, in order to get some help in return with my studies, and he did help me a lot. Sometimes he helped me for hours before exams or coursework, and it helped my grades a lot. His friendship with me made him more popular as well. This kept going for almost 2 years, and I knew he liked me, but I never considered that. He eventually asked me out, which I responded horribly to it. I laughed at him, told him that he's not good enough for me, and since I didn't need his help anymore, I told him that I only befriended him so that he would help me, not because I liked him in any way. I was a complete jerk. After that, I asked other girls to make fun of him constantly, which made his life difficult. So time passed, and I only realized at college what a complete jerk I was, to him and other people. I've had therapy, and I'm not the same person anymore. So right now I work in HR. I was going through the list of the people who are starting to work for us next week, since I'm the person who basically meets them on day one, handles all the process, etc. Yeah, he's one of them. I want to make things right with him and apologize for my horrible behavior, but I don't know how to do that. What should I say? I really don't know. And when should I do it? It will be extremely awkward on day one if he meets me as the person who welcomes him at the door without any prior knowledge. Should I contact him before his first day? I can't ask someone else to handle him when he arrives on his first day. I'm the only person who has this responsibility right now. So I decided to write him a handwritten letter and give it to him on the day that he starts and move on professionally to the rest of the day and explain everything in the letter. Since I was the person who was supposed to welcome him to work, that meant it had to be the first thing I was going to do. I took a lot of ideas about what you said to me, so this is the letter I wrote. Hi, James. You're probably surprised to see me here. I'm sure I'm not on your list of favorite people to randomly meet. Without any excuses, I want you to know how sorry I am about how I treated you in the past. When I look back at the things I've done, there's nothing in my life that I'm more ashamed of. I can't imagine how it must have been for you during that time, and I don't pretend to understand. I'm just sorry for all that I did. It haunts me every day in my life, and it should. You might think I'm only doing this to seek forgiveness to feel better about myself, or maybe I want to make sure nothing happens to my job and career. You have every right to think that. But this letter isn't about asking you to forgive me, or telling you how much of a changed person I am. That would make it all about me, but this is about you. It's about where we are right now. We're going to be co-workers, and I want you to know that I will never ever do anything that might make your life difficult at work. It's funny I say that because my mere existence here will probably cause just that. And even if it doesn't, how can you trust any word that comes out of my mouth? You shouldn't. But that's all I have to work with. I don't know how you think of me at this time, or whether you want to talk to me about the past or not. It's your decision, and I will comply to whatever you decide. If you decide to not talk about the past at all, I'm fine with that. When I return, we'll go through the rest of the formalities like professional colleagues, and we only speak when we have to. If you want to talk to me about the past, that's fine as well. Be assured that it won't be about me. If you need someone to yell at, someone to be angry at, or even a punching bag, I can be those things. You have every right to work in a place that you feel happy and safe. And if my existence threatens that, which is completely understandable, though we shouldn't work in the same place. So if that's the case, just give me the word and I will request a transfer or I will quit. This offer is open-ended. Regardless of what you decide or how you think about me, I genuinely wish you well. These are my contact details. So on the day when he saw me, he was shocked and clearly shaking. When I offered to shake his hand, he was very stressed. I proceeded to give him the above letter in an envelope and then invited him to his desk. I tried to act completely professionally. I gave him the very basic info, then told him that I will be back with the rest of the things in half an hour, to give him time to read the letter and feel more comfortable. When I was back, he was more relaxed. We went through the rest of the stuff, and at the end, he passed me a note which said 6:30 Cafe X, which is right around the corner. So I went in there and he was there. We sat there for a couple of minutes, not saying anything. Eventually, I asked how he's doing and if he read the letter. Then he burst into tears and I couldn't stop my tears as well. After a couple of minutes, he told me that he was ready to quit on day one if I hadn't given him that letter. I reminded him that I should be the one who leaves, but he told me that it's not necessary. He told me that for a couple of years he wished me dead, and even though he managed to move on, he never stopped feeling angry towards me until he saw me again. We talked more and more and got everything out. It was almost 9:30 when we were done. The first 2 hours was about our past, but the final hour was mostly a friendly conversation. We didn't talk again that week. This week one day he approached me during lunchtime and we had a short chat about random things. Today he asked to see me again after work. We had a short chat and he brought up the letter again. Told me that he had time to think about everything. He said that he wasn't convinced that I was changed back then, but now after 2 weeks he's seen me around and thinks that I might have. He told me that he's willing to forgive me and put the past behind us, and we shook hands as friends. Oh, and at the end, he said that I owe him a lifetime of favors. Haha, I do. I've never been happier in my life, and I can't stop crying. And they lived happily ever after, learning from their mistakes and cherishing the newfound friendship they had built. Cheers to second chances and personal growth. In the midst of planning a Thanksgiving feast for friends, tensions escalate when a longtime friend invites her potential lover to the dinner without consent. Secrets, betrayals, and explosive confrontations unfold, leading to a shocking revelation that threatens to shatter friendships. Here's how it all went down. I am 33 female. This year I have been sick on and off, and I am not in great shape for traveling. Nothing serious, I am just exhausted, and my husband and I decided not to spend Thanksgiving with our families this year. Also, his parents are on a cruise, and mine are spending Thanksgiving with my brother and his wife at her parents' house. So everyone is happy, and no one is being left alone for Thanksgiving. Since we had a group of friends in town who aren't traveling for Thanksgiving, we decided to hold a Thanksgiving dinner and invite a total of 10 friends over. I have everything prepared and actually ordered a Thanksgiving meal for 15 people. I like extra food so it really feels like Thanksgiving and then everyone can take some when they leave. We ordered because I feel physically too weak to pull off a Thanksgiving meal for this many people, and my husband can't do it alone either. We were both looking forward to Thanksgiving dinner. One of my friends of 5 years has been going through a tough period recently, and I wanted her to come, especially since it would be really weird if she is in town and not invited. However, my friend, let's call her Tina, has been engaged to her fiancé Max for over 5 years, since before I met her. So my husband and I have always hung out with Tina and Max as a couple. This past year, Tina told me that she has a crush on Max's friend Tom, whom we know well, but aren't friends with. I tried to support her and be a good friend, but since she was trying to tell me details about how she was flirting with Tom when he would come over and how they touched each other, etc., I told her that I wasn't comfortable hearing the details and that it wasn't fair for her to put me in this position since she wasn't breaking up with Max and I had to see him again. This made me feel like a liar, even though I had done nothing wrong. She was upset with me but understood and apologized. With time, I noticed that things progressed between her and Tom while she was still engaged to Max. When she would complain about how her personal life was a mess, I tried many times to tell her that this is super wrong, and she should come clean to Max and either try to work things out or break up. I think she understood that she did not have my support in this, so she stopped talking about it altogether. We kept hanging out with her and Max, and I thought and hoped that she solved things and cut it out with Tom. We invited Tina and Max for Thanksgiving, of course. Now here is when the problem starts. This Friday evening, we were out with a group of friends, including Tina and Max, and I was surprised to see that they had invited Tom too. Max said something about Tom being closer to them and going often to their house. I did not like hearing that, but none of my business. However, towards the end of the evening, our other friends were talking about how they cannot wait for the Thanksgiving dinner, and Tina told Tom, "You should come too." She invited him to my house, my party, knowing full well that I do not support whatever cheating jerkery she is doing with him. Tom said he would love to, and in that moment, I just couldn't speak. My husband said it was a great idea, and that sealed the deal. Important piece of information. My husband knows nothing about what is going on with Tina and Tom, because I wanted to respect her privacy, and didn't want to tell her secrets to anyone, including my husband. After Friday night, I've been feeling sick to my stomach, and so mad. So I decided to cancel the Thanksgiving party from being at our house, and I asked one of my friends if she could hold it instead, if I sent all the food there. I purposefully chose the one friend that doesn't know Tom at all, and wasn't with us on Friday evening. So since he is not in the original text group where we sent the invitation, he is not invited. Tina was furious with me and sent me a long message saying I had no right to do that just to uninvite Tom because I have no idea what has happened between them since I refused to hear details. The audacity and the disrespect. I'm thinking to cut her off my life, but I first need to calm down and thought to ask everyone here if by any chance I am the jerk and overreacting. Very shortly summarized, a friend of 5 years, Tina, told me about a year ago that she was flirting and holding hands underneath the dinner table, etc., with Tom, who is a friend of her fiancé Max. I expressed contempt and told her I do not need to know. We didn't speak about it again. I didn't tell my husband anything about this to protect Tina's privacy, but also because I was going through a lot health-wise and had other priorities. Fast forward, Tina proceeded to invite Tom, potential lover, to my Thanksgiving dinner without my consent, in front of my husband, our friends, and Max, so I couldn't say no. I was mad and canceled the dinner, asking my friend who doesn't know Tom to host it, so he got automatically uninvited. This got Tina livid. She proceeded to practically bully me with texts over 3 days, telling me stuff ranging from, "You are not a good friend because you don't want me to be happy," and by happy she means having both her fiancé and her potential lover together in my house, to, "You are a professional failure because you didn't get that job you wanted," to, "I am glad you got sick and fat so I don't have to hear anyone anymore talk about how good you look." Given all the drama, it didn't make sense to keep it a secret from my husband, so I told him. He decided that it is better that we tell Max not only because he deserves to know, but also because we will cut her, or them if they stay together, out of our lives, so Max will have questions anyway. We decided to do it after Thanksgiving, and we're trying to decide if to tell Tina beforehand so she could tell him first if she wanted to, or if to have them together and talk about it, the four of us. This was so that Tina wouldn't feel it was a backstabbing situation. Not that she deserves any grace at this point, but for basic human decency. We decided we would go to the Thanksgiving dinner and not provoke any drama so that the night wasn't ruined for the rest of our friends. There was no reason to believe that Tina would cause any scenes because she was chatting very normally on the group chat and even joking about something I said, even though separately she was sending me rageful messages. Cringe. However, this late afternoon I learned that she had created an additional group chat and told our friends that I have been spreading lies about her to them. And anything I had told them was a lie to make her look bad. I had not told them a word. My plan was to simply communicate to them that I had cut Tina out of my life after I did it, without providing any details other than saying that she tried to involve me in situations that made me uncomfortable. I also had planned to tell them that they didn't need to choose between me or her, and that we could still hang out and I wouldn't mind skipping the events where they wanted to invite Tina. Not optimal, but the best I could have done. In addition, she asked them to choose between her and Max and me and my husband, because she couldn't stand to be in the same group friend as me anymore after I ruined her life. Needless to say, my friends were super confused. They reached out to me. Most of them have known me for over 20 years, so they know that I don't spread lies. I showed them all the messages and told them everything. The friend who is hosting tomorrow said that apparently Tina had asked if she and Max could bring a friend, most probably Tom. After an hour-long conversation with my friends, we decided to tell Max collectively today and not have them join the dinner tomorrow, only Max if he wanted to. One of the friends called Max and told him we all needed to speak with him and to come alone. He showed up less than 20 minutes later, lives only 15 minutes away, with Tina. She was already in rage mode and started yelling at everyone. We managed to tell him through a lot of drama and denying. Turns out he had a hunch and didn't want to admit it to himself. Turns out also that they are both jerks because he was apparently in a serious relationship with Tina's friend before leaving her for Tina. We are all glad they are out of our lives. In a last low blow, Tina told me in front of everyone to take care of my marriage instead of her relationships because according to her, when she and Max lived with us for a few months, they had some financial issues. She had an affair with my husband. Of course, I don't believe it, but it left such a bitter taste. Right now, she sent to our group message a photo of a necklace that belonged to my husband's family's heirlooms, claiming that he gave it to her. That is her only proof. For all I know, she might have taken it. He wouldn't be as stupid as to give her something that distinctive. I do not believe a thing she says, but it does leave a bitter taste and makes me sad. This is kind of a second update because we are all at the Thanksgiving party, and it is safe to say that the energy is so low. It seems like all my friends are affected by all this, and I feel bad. Am I the jerk for ruining Thanksgiving? Should I have let her just bring Tom and not do anything? Well, that was definitely a Thanksgiving to remember. Drama, secrets, and betrayal can really put a damper on a holiday gathering. It's a good reminder that sometimes it's better to prioritize honesty and respect in our relationships, even if it means making tough decisions. Lesson learned. Thanksgiving dinner is best served drama-free. If you enjoyed today's stories, check out the other videos on your screen now. Submit your own stories at you'rethejerk.com. Subscribe now, or you're definitely the jerk.